Tottenham 2, Brentford 0. What we learned from that game. And I would say that was a very professional and disciplined performance from Tottenham Hotspur. Away to Brentford is not easy. Only Forest have kept a clean sheet there. Now Tottenham and Buemo Vissa, one of the most informed attacks in the league. And it was very disciplined performance, very professional. I think Ange adapted. He made some substitutions, taking more off at half time. I thought Tottenham defended incredibly well. They didn't let the lead slip like they did in previous games. And I think, those 3 points is a big, big 3 points. It wasn't Ange Bull at its best. There wasn't free-flowing, amazing attacking football. But, I mean, you just need the 3 points on the board. When you have all of those injuries, you can't expect Tottenham to be playing the most free-flowing attacking, amazing football. It was a good performance. It was a well-worked performance. It was a team performance. It was a disciplined performance. And I think Ange Postecoglou got his tactics absolutely spot on in that game. I think he made the right decisions. I thought Bentancur had a really good game. I thought Djed Spence had a really good game. And I have to say, that's a big 3 points for Tottenham because, look, I don't think Tottenham or Man United will get relegated, but there's obviously the possibility there. But I think it will be Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton. They just don't look good enough. But Tottenham haven't won in the league since the big Southampton win. That's a massive one for Tottenham because there's a massive 3 points to maybe get them some momentum. 2 wins in a row. They go into that massive semi-final with Mickey van der Ven should be available for that game, and that just gives them the boost. They've got Danso coming in, maybe another player. I know there's something about Disassi. I don't think you need him. I think if you're going to sign another centre back, go for a left-foot centre back. I think you could do a bit better than Disassi, but if it's like a panic just to get a number in from now and the end of the season, and then maybe an attacker. But I have to say, I think this was a big win for Tottenham, a big clean sheet. I thought the defence did really, really well. Porro, who sometimes gets slandered for his defensive work, I thought did well. Archie Gray, solid as always. Ben Davies is a very 7 out of 10 player, always does a job, and Djed Spence did very well. So I'm going to give you my notes on the game, and then I want to talk about Djed Spence because he's been the biggest surprise this season for me. He was a player that I thought was probably done at Tottenham. He wasn't like bad at Genoa or anything like that, but it just looked like Ange didn't want him. He was sort of done at Tottenham. And I thought, when Tottenham were quite thin at fullback and Djed Spence wasn't playing, I was thinking, give him a go, give him a punt. And Ange was quite reluctant to give Djed Spence minutes, but maybe that made him more hungry. Maybe that gave him more desire. I think Djed Spence has done really well this season, a player that I wasn't really expecting much of. So he's really impressed me. He kept, Tottenham in general kept Vissa and Buemo very quiet, which isn't easy. Brentford had a bit of the ball. They were putting in crosses, they're putting in shots. But it was a clean sheet for Kingsley and a clean sheet for Tottenham. I can't remember the last time you guys had a clean sheet. And it was a more defensive approach from Ange. It was 1-0 up, but defend well. It wasn't keep the high line, keep attacking. It was, we need those 3 points. We can't afford to lose those 3 points. And I think sometimes Ange needs to adapt his principles. And I think he did that today. And I think Djed Spence was probably man of the match. But I thought Bentancur was good. I thought Archie Gray was solid as always. But he's been the surprise of the season. But what he brings is that ball carrying. He's a bit of an athlete. In terms of he's fast, he's physical, he increases the physical floor, he can do well 1v1, he can get back in defender transitions, he can get forward, he's eager to attack, he's eager to get forward, he's eager to progress the ball, and has that sort of intensity and that drive, running up and down, able to cover ground. I thought his ball carrying was key. And I think when you look at Spence, Van der Ven and Danso, in terms of players, they're all athletically very good. Van der Ven is probably the most mobile, quickest. Danso's very physically good, but can play in the high line, has that pace. Djed Spence has that pace. Having those players in the Tottenham back line, I think will really improve their sort of ability to play Ange Ball, play the high line, defensive transitions as well. But let's talk about the game. As I said, I think this will give them big confidence to the Liverpool game. That Liverpool game is massive, 1-0 lead at Anfield. Very few clubs keep clean sheets at Anfield. So I guess, that defensive performance versus Brentford, if you could do that versus Liverpool and frustrate them, that is probably your best chance of doing something at Anfield and then looking for pace and maybe transition outlets and attack. Man United have actually got results at Anfield the last 2 seasons because we've frustrated them a little bit, the 0-0, and then we've had the 2-2 draw. But yeah, Tottenham deserved their first half lead. I think Brentford started the first half and second half a little bit more at it, but I thought Tottenham just put in a professional performance. They deserved the lead. I think it's a big win for Tottenham. I think Tottenham fans can be buzzing over this win because, they're still, 14th in the league or something, but that's a big 3 points. It's about confidence. It's about momentum, and I think that's an underrated thing. And also, it was against a good side. It was a deserved thing. And the one thing I've always said about Tottenham is when you're losing games, you're always losing by 1 goal. Apart from Liverpool, I think if you look at all your other losses, it's been by 1 goal. You've been in those games and then you've lost it, 2-1, 3-2. Tottenham in those games, and I always say maybe having a couple players fit, like Solanke would have scored that chance, or Mickey van der Ven and Romero would have stopped that goal going in, could bring them so many more points. And I do think with Mickey van der Ven coming back from injury, I don't expect Tottenham to have an amazing season. I think there's too many injuries, too much inconsistency. But I think when a couple of players like Mickey van der Ven and everyone else is starting to get back, and they've had a couple signings coming in, I do think Tottenham's season will go up. I don't think it can get much worse. I think you've hit your all-time low last week, but with the Leicester loss. But I think it can go up. And as I said, Bentancur and Basuma impressed me today. They had a solid game. And one thing is Tottenham do have options for midfield. Archie Gray can play there. You've got Bentancur, Basuma, you've got Sarr, you've got Bergvall. Kulusevski plays his best in midfield. You've got Maddison. You've got good options in midfield. It's about the defence staying fit, and it's probably about getting someone that's good in attack, a winger in there, and maybe Solanke back up as Richarlison has fitness issues. In terms of Brentford, Damsgaard I thought was their most impressive player today. He looked like a really good player that Tottenham might like. He was delivering him really good balls. Taking Moore off of Bergvall was a good defensive decision. I don't think it was Moore's best game. You could argue maybe he'd have won a penalty, but it might have been a bit of a soft decision. But Moore is very raw. He's going to come on and make impact, and then he's going to have bad games. I remember Garnacho's first season at United at 17. This was Ten Hag's first season when Ronaldo was there. Garnacho was coming off the bench and making an impact, but then when he'd start, he'd be a little bit underwhelming, but then he'd start the odd Europa League game and look quite good. But might start a Premier League game, you think, oh, he's not ready, and then he would come off the bench in the Premier League and be really impactful. That's what you're going to get with Moore. He might have the Europa League games where it looks good. There's going to be inconsistencies there, but there's going to be moments where he shows you what he can do, and you've already seen that in his cameos. And it's been like Garnacho's first season. He had some really good games where he scored goals and looked really impactful. Really good times when he's come off the bench, some good starts for United. Then he's had other games where you think, oh, yeah, you got to be very careful with rushing in young players. But there's such a talent in Mikey Moore there. Bergvall coming on was a good decision as well. And I also think did Bergvall well being rested and saving him from the Liverpool game, at least in that first half, because he's played a lot of football lately. Richarlison was a little off it. I just don't think he's fully fit, but he wasn't bad or anything. And I just thought, as I said, Tottenham looked more organised, professional. Not their very best, but it was a professional, organised performance from Tottenham. I think Son's looked better these last few games. Had a bit of burst, something about him. Obviously done well for the assist and done well for the corner. And then Ben Davies, just does his job. Underrated player. I think it was underrated injury. I think when Ben Davies got injured, to have Ben Davies and Mickey van der Ven injured is a huge blow. I think it was a great injury that everyone spoke about Mickey van der Ven and Romero, but Ben Davies being injured was big because he was the backup for that left centre-back role. He's nothing like amazing or special, but he does the job. And as I said, Archie Gray, very reliable. But I want to talk about Spence, and I need to round up this video in the next 4 minutes because I'm filming this at halftime in the Arsenal City game. But let's talk about Spence. 2 chances created, 3 out of 3 dribbles, 4 passes into the final third, 3 out of 4 tackles, 5 clearances, 3 header clearances, 7 ball recoveries, 7 out of 9 ground duels won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels. Man of the match. I have to say it was a really good performance from Djed Spence. The dribbling, the carrying forward, 3 out of 3 dribbles, as I said, passes into the final third. He can even play those odd line breaking passes. He's more of a progressor via carrying, but he can progress the ball via passing. But as I said again, 3 out of 4 tackles won. He locked down the channel well. He was in control of that flank. He locked down the channel. He'd done his job, and he's been very good lately. As I said, his athleticism is key. He's quick, he's comfortable on high line, he's strong defensively, he's a top ball carrier. He's one of those players where it's difficult for wingers to beat him because he's quick and strong. And I think his reading of the game is a lot better and really come on leaps and bounds. He can keep players like Mbeumo quiet. He, again, put in a very complete performance, whether it's defensive, whether it's playing out from the back, whether it was defending the 1v1s, whether it was progressing the ball, or actually making those passes in the final third to make an impact. I think the strength, the drive and the power, the pace and I thought he brought intensity today. No Tottenham player won more duels, completed more take-ons, or created more chances than Djed Spence in the first half versus Brentford. I think he's been maybe the surprise of the season. I also want to give a shout out to Bentancur, looking back to his best. As I said, honestly, barely gives the ball away. So natural on the goal, so good at passing the ball. And I was getting so frustrated in the Man United Palace game because we could not keep the ball. And I'm thinking we need a midfielder that can play in a dual pivot, but that can pass the ball. And I was like, low-key, Bentancur. I was like, I don't know with the injury, but I was like, low-key, I think he could be good at United. Anyway, but 10 times possession won. Today he put in defensive shift. He's a player that's known for his ability on the ball, but today it was a defensive shift. 3 chances created, of course. Made loads of good passes, but 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, 5 duels won, 10 times possession won. Winning back the ball and recycling the ball. Bentancur was excellent today. He looked back at his very best. And I think Bentancur is your best DM option right now because you don't have one. Maybe Archie Gray can be tried there. Basuma, I thought, was much better today. Bentancur, what is your best midfielder? Would it be Bentancur, Bergvall, Kulusevski as the 10? Would you put Sarr in there? Maddison's a good shout. It's difficult to know. You've got quite good midfield options, but I saw this here. Shout out to Bentancur, by the way. He's not a six and never will be, but defended well in the box. Our most composed player in possession. If he decides to stay in the summer, he'd be wonderful box to box in the system once we bring in a competent eight. And I agree with that. I think he played his best football under Conte as an eight. I like Bentancur as a player. I know he's a better player than what you've seen this season. You play him with a DM, he could be good. But as I said, I think Tottenham do have good midfield options. It's just you need that left-sided defence and you need a proper winger, I think, to come in and boost you. Apparently you agreed a loan deal with Disasi, but he said no, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think Tottenham maybe need another defender for bodies, for all of that, but I don't think Disasi's the guy. I think Danso's better than him, actually. I'm surprised that he was your priority over Danso. I think if I was Tottenham, I'd do what I could for Hatta of Ajax. I don't know if you'd be able to get him, but I'd be going all out, doing what I could to see if I could get Hatta of Ajax. Listen, people, thank you for watching today's video. See you next time. Bye.